full of so much anger and frustration and rage and emptiness and loneliness that I don't even know how to express it other than screaming and crying. Yet nobody seems to care. It's like I feel like I'm stripped naked, left in a hole, bleeding, and everyone's just walking by. As I've regressed through my pain and suffering, I came to this pinnacle most recently about the Yggdrasil tree, as I am directly related to one of the two oldest Viking mummies by more than 98% than most people. However, those two Viking mummies, why would there be Viking mummies ever? Vikings know you must burn the dead on a boat on the water to release the spirit. Because if you mummify them, if you petrify them, if you preserve them, the spirit is trapped in there until their body disintegrates. And then they are very angry. And this world is full of angry motherfucking spirits that are locked up in concrete boxes, that are preserved by formaldehyde, that are in every fucking cemetery everywhere. And I've been attempting to let them go, to let them free. Most of them are from wars. My lineage, it does extend to General President Ulysses S. Grant. It does extend to one of the two oldest Viking mummies that could have been the king or queen of Ireland or England once upon a time long ago. The Yggdrasil tree is the tree of life. But so in the Garden of Eden, there is the tree that is forbidden fruit. So is it my anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun? Or is it the Buddha sitting under the tree meditating? It's all the same. It came to me just a few days ago that there was a couple. It was like if God existed and was alone in the dark for so long, wanting to be, to feel, to know what it was like to be alive. The only way to be alive is to be in flesh, in bodies, to touch, to caress, to embrace and love. And people here have not done that. They've turned everything here ugly. And I come from a place where when I feel like being born here, that I should feel that love and embrace and kind compassion that I give, but I've never gotten it. My family are very, very cold and closed. They'll throw money at me to make me feel better. And that's not even enough money to make me actually feel better, because it's only enough to get me through a day or two. Possibly a hotel. Maybe not even a good enough of a hotel to have a pool or a hot tub where I can take my son to stay for more than a day without being broke again. But it was like, if at the beginning there was a man and a woman, but there were many of them. They were gods. They were here among the people on earth. I don't know why they came here. I don't know what they were trying to do. All I know is that he thought that she lied, and he planted a seed. And that seed grew into a tree. And for every year that he thought she lied, he planted his seed within another goddess, within another woman, spreading his seed, growing his lineage, while he watched her and waited for her to tell the truth, because he thought she cheated. Perhaps because she was consorting with another god, like she was the goddess of the tree. He was the god of the tree. But she was also friends very closely with the god of the rock. But there was a goddess of the rock. I don't know what happened. But eventually the tree grew, and they strapped her to the tree. They hung her with rope, with whatever, and they tied him to a T, just with his arms and his legs up on a rock right in front of the tree. They could smell each other. They tried to reach, with all parts of them, tried to reach each other, to touch, to embrace, to feel, but they couldn't. For a long time, people would come and they would throw things at them. They would bring them gifts or food or water. Then the people would be killed. They would rape her. They would rape him. They did all kinds of things to them for a long time. And they hung there and they cried and they screamed. The canyons echoed with their voice. The people in the town could hear them crying out for them. Sometimes they would help them, but after a while, they stopped coming around. And then they began to fight. And then there became war upon the nations. And then the lands started to divide and separate. Like the continents shifted and they were drifting further apart. Then they would sing and rejoice and joy, like remind them of who we are and why we're here. Because as gods of a higher entity here, they lived a lot longer than people did. The people here on this earth live about 120 years, tops. But the gods that were here that created you could live thousands of years, just based on who they were. So they hung there on the T and on the tree. Eventually he started banging his head on the rock, trying to get off. There was blood everywhere. And they put a block behind his head. And it created a cross, like Jesus on the cross. They tied his head to it with wires. And he shook his head back and forth. Eventually it ingrained like a line across his head, where perhaps one of the two oldest Viking mummies, one of them is hollowed out from the womb, and the other one has a ring around its head like it would be opening up his brain. They fought for a long time. Then they made up. Then they cried. Then they screamed. The people in the town could hear them screaming and crying and singing. And they thought, maybe we'll go up and we'll see them. But then other people told them it was a trick. Because when the people would finally show up, they were so desperate to get out of their situation that they were angry at the people for not bringing them down, for not helping them, which is how I feel now, because I feel like I've been set up like that. But that's because the tree woman was pregnant, and at some point, when she finally died, the baby fell out. And all I know is that I remember hearing, we should have hung her upside down. And then they took a skewer, butthole to mouth, face down into the ground, and took the baby away to cook it and eat it. Somehow, luckily, it was replaced by a pig, and the baby was shipped away or hidden for a very long time. I don't know why the timeline ended up the way it did. But at some point, my birth mother, who worked for the military with her husband, they worked for the Navy. I don't think she even knew. She just knew that they were on a break, and she went back home to figure things out and ended up pregnant, that somehow my preserved fetus of this entity that was from the tree goddess was shoved up inside of her. And then I was born here. She almost died of sepsis for several weeks. She was in the hospital. I mean, it was bad. But what I remember is seeing the shape of existence through the tear, like a black hole and a sun. However, I was the black sun, but it was like the blackness opened up and enveloped into the darkness that was space, and the black hole and the sun became time. And the space opened up, and the energy that was the black sun went and created existence, while the time that was created the matter that was all here. The planets, the stars, the moons. Everyone here is an energy that was created from something. Whether it's a quasar or a pulsar or a comet or a star or a sun or a black hole. They all have energy that is consciousness. And I remember being the black sun, watching these things happen. Being alone in the dark. Not knowing what I am, who I am, why I am, where I am, what is going on. And then floating through a rainbow. And seeing a bright light going into the pyramid, the third one on the left. And I went into that light. And in that light, there was a ceremony. It was with the Pope. And what I recall is being shoved into a box for 3 days, taken out, shaken into a ball of light, thrown into a wall, and I was born. So, whether I'm regressing back to my birth and death as the baby from the tree woman, dangling from her as she died, being violated and skewered by the people of that era, and then rescued and shoved into a jar to be preserved, later to be shoved up inside of some woman that I grew to be the person I am now. My DNA links back to that time before time. It just does. It will prove it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to know that. But that's what I am here. 100% European. Which is very weird for a baby of 100% European to be adopted in America. However, Jesus Christ, they hung him up on a cross. They didn't. He was on a T. Eventually it became a cross. And they made it like a joke. Ha ha. We're going to put up a cross to be our symbol. Because the motherfucker died on it. And we ate the baby. La la la. But they didn't eat the baby. They didn't know they didn't. Eventually, when that baby was born, the mother was possessed by the devil. Because the devil gives you your soul. The devil lived. Devil, D-E-V-I-L, L-I-V-E-D. Devil lived. Evil, live. The devil lived among us all the while as our soul. The God created our bodies, though. But what gives us soul is the devil. However, in flesh, we are tempted to be all kinds of ways, and we become like demons here. But I, as the first light, the dark light of the first light, like Michael and Lucifer, or Lucifer and Lucifer's evil twin that no one ever knew. But as the mother of creation, creating existence, becoming a creation of her own, under the guidance of the God that created things here, that's me now. I don't want to fucking do that shit. I just want to be a good mom and do artwork and paint and fucking sew and make music. But that's my life, and I just have to accept it. So as ridiculous as it seems to those of you when I say that I was given to Pope John Paul I, the smiling Pope, the 33-day Pope, as the baby that was being exorcised from the woman, like, that was the year The Exorcist came out. and my mother was being exorcised at birth. I'm not sure exactly what happened. However, they did call me Miss Jaws too when they adopted me out, because they thought it was funny because I bit the phallus off of Pope John Paul I, the smiling Pope, but not off. I had no teeth, but I clamped on it so hard that it broke it, and then he died of sepsis just a month or two after my birth. And I was adopted here as 100% European to this farm couple here to keep me safe, but also to test me with torture to see if I would turn into the demon they thought I was. I'm supposed to kill all of you at the end of time. Isn't the Lucifer supposed to come and kill everyone at the rapture? I don't want to. I want to enjoy life. I want to feel happy here. I remember being a little girl at 4 and 5, having nightmares of the apocalypse, of the sky turning into rings of blood that rained fire. I talked to children at that age about it, that told me about the Bible at a slumber party here where I live now. Where as a very small child, I dreamt that I was an adult, single, alone, with a child here. And now I find myself as an adult, single, with a child here. It's one of those things that my life is just one of those impossible, I can't believe this happened every day. But that's my life here. And I guess they thought it was funny when they adopted me out to say Miss Jaws 2. Because I guess Jaws was already out, and they're like, haha, it's like Jaws 2 up in there. But that was supposed to be a code, I guess, because I was also called Baby J. Though my name is Joni, I would rather be Imogen any day. But wasn't Agent J in Men in Black? But these are the things that if you tell people about, they're like, yeah, right, that's crazy. It is. But it's also the reason why I'm tormented here. It's also the reason why I have the information I have here. In the very beginning, the Anunnaki that were creator gods were kings. Then they became presidents, and then they became mayors, and then they became movie stars, and then it just is what it is. That's why my energy is so big. That's why those of you that are supposedly important or famous or whatever will notice me everywhere I go. It doesn't matter where I go or what I look like. Somehow those of you have just keyed in on me every time. But that's because I am the magnet here. Like a third of the angels fell. But how do angels fall in space? They cannot fly, there is no air. Are they even human anyway? They're magnets, like angles, like triangles. If it doesn't work this way, try it that way. A third of the magnets fell. There were 3 magnetic energies, a negative and 2 positives, at a ratio of 2:6, which would be 1:3. Because the larger of them went to create space, and the other 2 created time. So a third of the magnets, a third of the angels, went with the magnet that pressed away from the other positive magnet to allow the time for the other magnet to escape the black hole of the rip, the tear of reality, and create matter. And alone in the dark for eons. Alone. While everything else grew and is growing. There is more stuff that is out in the space world that we would never, ever even think about knowing. And I've just recently been able to tap into it spiritually. And it's amazing and terrifying and beautiful and ugly all at the same time. The reason why is because what those entities could bring us would be beautiful and salvation. However, what people have done to this place, what they would do to those entities is ugly. And they know that. Look what's happening to me. And those of you that have been doing this to me didn't know any of this shit when it first started. But like I said, it's going to get to that point where people are going to be crawling to me on their hands and knees in their own piss and shit, begging for my forgiveness. And I won't give a fuck. And I don't want to. All I need is a hug and a friend. And it's like, I say I've been alone for 6 years. I haven't even physically been with anyone in 3 years or more. And then people thought I was Colette because of, I don't know. But I'm not. I just don't frivolously share myself with people that cannot handle the magnitude I am. There's been times when it's, been whatever. But I have fought through those levels of hell. The lesser keys of Solomon, the 72 demons, the seals. Those are levels of hell that we must go through to get out of here, to get to the purest heaven. Most of us, even me, won't even be able to get through all 72 to get to the biggest heaven. My body's already ruined. It's already been tainted. As a single mother, unmarried with a child, I'm already ruined. As someone that eats meat or has eaten meat, I'm already ruined. As someone who smokes or drinks, I'm already ruined. It would have to be the next lifetime. However, with my mind hack workshop that I have suffered to conceptualize and bring here, to fix my mind, to remember what's going on, to retain the ability to get us out of this hell, to release us free into the universe the way we should be, as spirits that operate at a frequency that is high enough to escape this realm. That's all it is. This earth operates at a frequency that has everyone trapped. And you have been here revolving in the trap for a long time. And there are angry, hungry spirits, ghosts that want into the skin. To walk it, to be it, to feel it, to know it, to touch it. We want to be inside of all of you. But they don't know how. However, communicating with them, I've given them the ability to do that. Mainly because I need friends here. And those people that I feel should be my friends, they're terrified knowing the things that I know. And is that what it is keeping them from me? Is that they're scared? It's not supposed to be scary. But imagine how I feel that only in December I lit a candle for Juice World and I learned about spirits that could talk to me and guide me through the day. It was just a few months ago that I finally grasped that when you invite the demons in, they possess you. So you're possessed by whatever vice it is. If you're strong enough to battle it, to fight it, to outlast it, to conquer it, you've conquered that level of hell. And all of the gifts of that demon are now yours. Sometimes it's science or philosophy or music or poetry. It just depends. But that's what the lesser keys of Solomon, the Necronomicon, the witchcraft, the things that you people think are spells, they're just like motivational speeches in a different way. And I have fought so many battles here. The war is done. I suffered at birth. The lamb, the beast, and the ghost being exorcised by the priest, who then was possessed by the devil. The baby had to defend itself. And then the Holy Spirit and the devil both went into the baby. the lamb, the beast, and the ghost within me. And here I am as a magnet, like the little guy with the beard, pulling in the little things, because I can see what it is that makes you people ugly, like nerves, like a string, and I can pull it out and release you. It's almost like I'm offering you salvation, like it's Jesus here to give you salvation and whatever. But that's what they kill people for that. Fuck, Jesus would hear you guys killed him already. It's not Jared Leto, I don't think. It could be Maynard. Fuck, he does make wine. I'm just Joni. But Joan of Arc did hear messages, and I feel like I'm a messenger here. And even though everything in my spirit wants me to just like sing songs and do artwork and be regular with my son, I can't. The weight of what I know is so heavy in my soul that I can't even operate anymore on like a basic level. It's like I'm useless. Like I need to be put somewhere where I just live on like a ranch, like one of those dogs where they're like, you're gonna go live on a nice farm, a nice ranch. Fuck, I wish that was this place.